My restored child, I have been watching you carry something that was never meant to stay. A heaviness in your chest that follows you from room to room. A tiredness in your bones that no amount of rest seems to touch. A quiet ache in your spirit that you have learned to live with because you thought it was permanent. You adapted to it. You made space for it in your daily routine, the way someone makes space for a piece of furniture they never wanted, but cannot seem to get rid of. You learned to work around it, to function despite it, to smile through it when necessary, to explain it away as just the way life is. But I am here to tell you that what has been weighing you down is not your identity. It is not your future. It is not the final words spoken over your existence. What was breaking you is becoming your breakthrough. And the proof of that is already unfolding in ways you have not yet recognized, in shifts so subtle that your conscious mind has not registered them, even though your spirit has been responding to them for weeks. I want you to understand something about the way I work. I do not arrive with announcements and fanfare. I do not send press releases before I move. I do not need your awareness of my activity, for that activity to be effective. I come quietly into the places where pain has made its home, and I begin to dismantle the structures that suffering has built inside of you. Think about what happens when a master craftsman enters a house that has been neglected. He does not stand at the entrance and make speeches about what he is going to do. He rolls up his sleeves. He walks through every room. He runs his hand along the walls, feeling for weakness, checking the foundation, examining the places where moisture has crept in and begun its slow, invisible destruction. He opens closets that the residents have been afraid to open. He descends into basements that everyone agreed to ignore. He climbs into attics where things were stored and forgotten, but never actually dealt with. That is what I am doing in your life right now. Even as you are hearing these words, I am walking through the rooms of your existence, not as a visitor who needs permission, not as a stranger who requires an introduction. I am walking through as the one who designed every room, who drew the original blueprint, who knows where the cracks are, who sees what has been hidden behind the walls you built to protect yourself from further damage. And I am touching things. I am rearranging what has been out of order for so long that disorder started to feel normal. I am repairing what was damaged by years of neglect and spiritual attack. I am removing what does not belong, and never did, the things that were placed in your life by hands other than mine. You may not remember exactly when it happened, because it was not a formal occasion. It might have been a whisper in the middle of an ordinary moment, words that fell from your lips before your mind could organize them into a proper prayer. It might have been a cry that escaped your chest when you thought no one was within earshot, a sound that surprised even you with its rawness. It might have been a prayer so desperate that you were almost embarrassed afterward by the intensity of what you heard yourself say. You wondered if it was even appropriate to approach me with that level of need, that degree of vulnerability, that nakedness of soul. Let me assure you that prayer was not too much. It was not too loud, too messy, too emotional, or too honest. In fact, it was exactly what I had been waiting for. Because formality does not move me, performance does not impress me. What reaches my heart is the unfiltered cry of a child who has finally stopped trying to handle everything alone and has admitted that they need their father. I heard every syllable, every unfinished sentence that trailed off because the emotions were too thick for words to pass through, every tear that fell before language could form. And I responded not with delay, not with a committee meeting to evaluate whether your request met the threshold of divine intervention. I began moving towards you the instant your heart reached for mine. The distance between your cry and my response was measured in the time it takes for love to cross the space between a father and his child, which is no time at all. I know what your household has been walking through, not in the abstract general way that people sometimes assume I know things. The way you might know that poverty exists somewhere in the world without really feeling it. I know the way a parent knows. I know the specific shade of tension that fills your home when bills arrive and the numbers do not align. I know about the arguments that erupt from nowhere, sparked by small irritations, but fueled by deeper exhaustions that nobody has the energy to name. I know about the silences that are worse than arguments, the ones where everyone retreats to their own corner of the house and pretends to be fine, while carrying weights that are bending them in half. I know about the health concerns that arrived uninvited and refused to leave, the symptoms that internet searches only made more terrifying, the appointments that confirmed what you hoped was not true, the treatments that promised more than they delivered. I know about the financial pressure that has turned your household into a constant calculation, where every purchase is weighed, every expense is questioned, and generosity has become a luxury you can no longer afford. I know about the loneliness that exists, even when the house is full of people. The paradox of being surrounded by faces and yet feeling unseen by every single one of them. The smile you practice in front of people while something behind your ribs is slowly fracturing under the weight of everything you refuse to let anyone else carry. None of this is hidden from me. Not a single detail. The weight on your shoulders is familiar to my hands, because I have been holding you steady, even when you believed you were standing on your own strength. Every time you thought your willpower was the thing keeping you upright, it was actually my hand on your back that you mistook for your own determination. And I want you to hear this clearly, with the kind of clarity that cuts through the fog of fear and the noise of doubt. What you are experiencing right now is not the end of your story. It is not even the hardest chapter. It is the chapter where things begin to turn. The chapter where the gold begins to emerge from the fire. The chapter that future generations of your family will point back to and say, that was when everything changed. Because that is precisely what is happening to you. You are being refined, not punished, not forgotten, not overlooked, not tested to see if you will break, refined, the way precious metal is purified by intense heat until everything that corrupts it, every impurity, every foreign substance, every element that weakens its structure is burned away, and only the purest, strongest, most valuable substance remains. That is what this difficult season has been doing inside of you. What felt like destruction was actually purification. What felt like loss was actually the removal of things that were never supposed to be part of your composition. Every difficulty, every tear, every moment where you felt like you could not take another step, every silent scream that echoed in the chambers of your heart, was part of a process that is producing something of extraordinary value in your character, in your faith, in your spiritual capacity, in your ability to receive and steward what I am about to release into your life, because I cannot pour new wine into containers that have not been prepared, and I have been preparing you. I am not asking you to pretend the pain was not real. It was achingly real. The struggle was genuine. The exhaustion was legitimate. The moments when you questioned whether I was still paying attention, whether I had somehow lost your file among billions of other requests, whether your prayer had gotten stuck somewhere between your ceiling and the heavens. Those were honest moments, and I do not hold them against you. Doubt does not disqualify you from my love. I did not design faith as a test that only the emotionally bulletproof can pass. I designed faith as a bridge between what you can see and what I can see, and bridges sway. It is a sign that the bridge is flexible enough to bear weight without snapping. Your doubt was the bridge swaying under a load that would have crushed something rigid, and you survived it. You made it across. Even the times when you tried to figure things out on your own, when you made decisions without pausing to ask me, when you wandered down paths that seemed logical, but led you further from peace. I never withdrew my hand. I adjusted my position. I stayed close. I matched your pace even when that pace was moving away from me. Because a good father does not abandon a child who is lost. He follows. He watches. He waits for the moment when the child looks up and realizes they have gone too far in the wrong direction.